Hi, Robert here with Way to CPA on Delagify, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies about accounting, Boiler Room. There is so much that's going on with this movie. They explain the securities industry, they explain fraud so well. What gets me really excited about this movie is how they portray the relationship between the fraudster, Seth, and the victim, Harry. Basically, what you need to know, Seth is getting away with a pump and dump scheme. If you don't know what that is, you can check out the suggested video here. In essence, Seth is trying to get Harry to buy worthless stock. And you can see exactly how he goes through that process in a very realistic, very well executed scene. I'm jumping a little out of order here because there's something that I really love about this movie. Both a salesperson and a con man have the same end goal. They're trying to convince someone to do something.
I did everything that JT Marlin taught me to do, and I made up his mind for him.
The difference between the two is that the salesperson has a real product that they really genuinely believe in, usually. They probably believe in. Okay, they have a real product. They're actually selling something that could benefit somebody. The con man, on the other hand, does not. They're just selling promises. They don't have anything to back that up with. Before going into the differences, I want to talk about the similarities between the two.
Hello?
Hi, Harry. Seth Davis over at JT Marlin. How you doing this morning?
You know, I'm not really in the market for that right now.
Tell me, Harry, are you married or are you happy?
Actually, I've been married for 10 years.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, 6 years for me.
One of the elements of selling, especially in a financial firm, is building a relationship with that customer. In order for them to shop with you, they have to trust you. And in order for them to trust you, they have to know some things about you. They have to have a relationship. It's not just you as a piece of paper or a resume. It's you as a person as a whole. One thing you can do as a salesperson to help that along is to make that personal connection and make sure that they're empathizing and relating with you on an interpersonal level.
He's a really great guy. He's a family man, actually.
That's going to tip the scales in your favor when they're deciding who to go with. Seth is doing that very well. He's very relatable to Harry, and Harry is picturing Seth as someone who's very much like himself. They're building up that relationship.
So, listen, are you playing the market at all?
Well, I don't know about playing. I do own some blue chips. They were actually wedding gifts from our friends in New York.
So tell me, those blue chips you own, what have they done for you since you got married?
Not that much, really.
Well, you see, we deal in stocks that really move.
Oh, yeah. They really move.
Seth is playing on something called FUD, or fear, uncertainty, and doubt. What he's doing is he's making Harry question his past decisions in order to move to something different. Someone who's just willing to accept the status quo is not going to do a radical change like investing with Seth. That's why Seth needs to show Harry that there's problems with his old ways of investing. In financial planning, a lot of times we have to talk people out of their preconceived biases or notions. So a lot of people will say, I'm just going to throw all of my money in cash. Well, that's a bad idea, and we need to convince them that that's a bad idea. We use the same exact techniques that Seth is doing here. And we would ask things like, how are the returns that you're seeing in that overly cautious investment?
Yeah, I need to talk to my wife.
No, you don't need to do that, Harry.
And I'll call you right back.
And, you know, I'm going to lunch in
No,
5
I
minutes.
need to talk to her first.
Tell me, Harry, you're at work right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what do you do for a living?
I'm a purchasing manager at a gourmet foods company.
So does part of your job involve making decisions?
Of course.
And so when you're making one of these decisions, you call your wife and ask her what you should do?
Of course not, but that's a little bit
But
different.
that's different? How's that different? It's your money. You earned it. Besides, you know, all you're doing is investing it. I'm not selling crack here, Harry. I mean, you know, she's only going to be happy when she sees that you made a wise investment for the family. Just think of the flip side. When your wife does the shopping, does she call you from Pathmark to find out if she can use a coupon for Captain Crunch?
Now, come on, that's not being
No,
fair.
I know.
'Cause
Look, Harry, I'm just trying to make a point here. Look, we're not talking about a lot of money here.
Now, what Seth is doing is called overcoming objections. If your client or prospective client has a problem or some reason that they're going to say no to that sale, you as a salesperson need to understand it, and you also need to downplay it in the mind of the customer.
He hands out this book to all his new trainees, right? It's called a rebuttal book.
It looks like a little filofax. It's got these index tabs, but instead of having letters like A to B, G to H, it has all these different things like, you know, my wife won't let me, or, you know, I'm not in the market right now, or send me a prospectus. It has a rebuttal for any excuse.
I'll give you a legitimate example. Someone might not want to come to our firm because they're afraid of the extra work it'll take, the extra paperwork. The way a salesperson would get around that is by saying, hey, we have somebody who's in charge of helping you with the paperwork. It's going to be a very easy process. We'll do all the work and just tell you where to sign. Don't worry about that at all. That removes that barrier and makes that person more willing to come and work with you.
Harry, I'm gonna put all my kids through college with this stock. I remember you saying something about wanting to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
Well, how'd you like to pay for it tomorrow in cash?
There's a lot of techniques that salespeople use to make sure that their prospective clients are engaged, they're paying attention, and they have a positive mindset. A lot of times asking a question that has an obvious yes for an answer can help you do that.
Ask them questions. Ask them rhetorical questions. Doesn't matter, anything. Just get a yes out of them. If you're drowning and I throw you a life jacket, would you grab it? Yes, good. Pick up 200 shares. I won't let you down. Ask them how they'd like to see 30, 40% returns. What are they going to say? No? Fuck you. I don't want to see those returns.
It makes them more engaged in the conversation. They're listening to you actively because they think that they're going to have to answer more questions. They don't want to look like they're not paying attention. And they're also thinking of it in a positive way. They're getting used to, they're getting conditioned to saying yes to you. If they're conditioned to saying yes for these trivial questions, they're going to say yes when you ask for the sale.
Just think what she's gonna say when you bring home a big fat check because you had the foresight to see a good thing coming.
This is something that you generally see with the best top-tier financial planners. Anybody can run numbers in a calculator and say, yeah, you're going to have $1 million, or yeah, you have a 60% chance of retiring. Those numbers don't really connect with us on an emotional level. What Seth is doing really well here is he's getting Harry to imagine what success looks like and imagine what will happen if I say yes to this deal. If I say yes to this deal, I'm going to be so happy. I can imagine it and picture it. You're now having that positive association with, if I say yes to Seth, I'm going to be happy. That makes your prospective clients a lot more willing to jump in with you to say yes to you. Now that we've talked about sales and talked about why Seth is a good salesperson, whether it's a scheme or whatever, I want to talk about some of the red flags that us as investors should be looking at and saying, whoa, 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 this is a little fishy. I shouldn't be here.
Clients to get in on this and heavy. Don't you see you get the same stock that we picked up at 8, only now it's at 4. Now when it was at 8, I told you it was 1 to 20, right?
Yes, you did.
Well, it's still going there, probably even higher now. Look, this doesn't change anything except that you're going to be making more money than you did before. Harry,
First and foremost is guaranteed returns. Guaranteed returns are one of the biggest red flags, and the reason being, no legitimate business is going to guarantee you those returns because they don't know everything about the future either. They don't know exactly what's going to happen with the markets. Even if they have a pretty good idea or a pretty good prediction, they're not going to promise it to you like Seth is doing here. Seth is being a little bit evasive about it, but you look at the subtext, you look at what he's trying to say, and what he's saying over and over again, I am promising you this return, huge red flag.
I want to sell it.
Harry, you want to sell now? The stock's down. You don't make money in the market buying high and selling low.
Well, so what's going on? I mean, you tell me why we shouldn't just, get out now.
All right, here's the deal. I told you things would happen within 60 days. It's only been 20 so far, but the situation here is explosive, and I wanted to get you involved. Harry, listen to this.
What's going on over there?
Do you see what I'm saying? People know the whole place is going nuts.
The other thing that we see is Seth is not directly answering Harry's questions. He's being very evasive. And he's being evasive in really sophisticated ways. He's a very good predator. He's a very good fraudster. But that should be a red flag. If you ask a question, you should expect a direct answer back to you. What Seth is giving instead is jargon, or he's changing the subject entirely. He's avoiding the question. He's doing it very well. Seth is doing a really good job of distracting Harry using emotions. When we're making investment decisions in our life, we want to put on our logical hat and really think things through. And Be sure to think about those questions and circle back if you're not getting the answers. If you're not getting answers, that's a huge red flag.
JT Marlin. Never heard of him.
Hey, hold on a second. Who are you? What do you sell? Car insurance?
We're with this little firm downtown. Maybe you've heard of us, J.P. Morgan.
No, I know JT. It's a shop. Name the firm so it sounds like ours.
This film is fiction. There's not a real J.T. Marlin as a firm. And in reality, it probably wouldn't get approved by FINRA. FINRA does have to approve any new brokerages. They have to approve those names. If you're intentionally making yourself sound like a legitimate firm, that is a huge red flag. But in most cases, FINRA is going to be catching that flag for you. Not always. You still have to be diligent. But I would be very surprised if a firm name that was this close actually got approved. By the way, FINRA is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, and they oversee brokers.
You can be whoever you want to be on the phone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who cares? Do what you got to do. Change your last name. Say you're the f***ing vice president, you know? Who cares? Just get the sucker on the line, you know?
Going along with the tricky name, Seth is lying here, and it is a bad idea to lie to your clients. Any legitimate salesperson is going to learn this lesson the hard way, because your clients figure out you're lying. They're never going to trust you again. If they don't trust you, they're never going to give you their money. Here, he's just trying to get the quick buck. He's not building the long-term relationship. But it's a bad idea to lie, and you can do some background research about your broker, especially if you're doing a big investment. You should at least look them up on BrokerCheck, find a little bit of background information about them, make sure what they're telling you checks out with the information that's out there. BrokerCheck is a tool by FINRA where you can look up a broker's status, you can see any past complaints against them, and you can make sure that they are up to date on all of their regulatory requirements. BrokerCheck even shows you some other things that you might want to know about your broker, like if they have past criminal convictions.
I also have a bullet on it. A couple days ago, Dan Dorfman on CNBC put a heavy buy recommendation on Faro Tech.
Here's another one. Seth is using an appeal to authority. It's a false appeal. He's making it up. He's just regurgitating information. And if you wanted to verify that, you could do it easily and find out that Seth is lying. Now, especially once I lost a little bit of money, I would be looking at that and saying, why are you lying to me? I can see that this is not the truth. They don't have drugs that are at this stage of approval. You're lying to me. Why are you lying to me? Harry's not doing that. And Harry's not doing that, unfortunately, because he trusts Seth, even though he shouldn't. Alternatively, you might say, well, maybe Harry thinks he's getting insider information. If your broker is trying to engage you in a crime like insider trading, that's another red flag. You don't want to be working with a broker who's doing illegal things with you. If a broker is willing to help you out by committing a crime, they're probably also willing to commit a crime against you. So that is the type of broker you want to stay away from. You want somebody who's legitimate and squeaky clean.
All right, let's try it.
Great. So should I send the confirmation to your business or your home?
Yeah, I need to talk to my wife.
No, you don't need to
first,
do that, Harry.
And I'll call you right back.
And
Seth is isolating Harry. He's trying to tell Harry, you don't need anybody's help to make this decision. You need to make this decision on your own. Isolating victims is very important to fraudsters because they're actively grooming, they're actively tricking people, and it takes work to do that. If you sit back and think about it without somebody steering your line of thought, it's really easy to think through and see, oh my gosh, this is totally a scam.
So, how'd you even know who to call?
Actually, he called me.
Who did?
Seth Davis, the broker.
Well, how did he get your name?
I have no idea.
Well, doesn't that worry you?
It's okay. Relax, all right?
Because they have such a good relationship, Harry believes Seth. Harry is taking the information that Seth is giving him and treating it as the gospel truth. There's a risk that they're going to come to their senses and they're not going to engage. They're not going to be a victim in that fraud scheme anymore. Worse still, if they're talking to criminal enforcement or somebody who can actually take action, then you have an even bigger problem. You're going to have the police at your door investigating your fraud scheme. That's why you don't want any of your victims talking to anybody else about fraud. And Seth does that very, very well here. Now, something that's really sad with fraud schemes that I saw very often is the victims continued to believe the fraud scheme even after the fraudster was convicted. They would tell their friends and family all the time, no, 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 this is a great investment. And they would give that script. They would regurgitate the words that the fraudster gave them. They would just spit those same words out.
It's a small investment.
You start small, just to prove what I can do for you.
And I'm just testing this guy out.
I just want you to test me out.
If he doesn't show us any gains on this trade, I won't do business with him again.
And if the stock doesn't go anywhere, you know, you're not out in front of your store with a cup in your hand.
Okay.
So this is a part that really gets to me because I've seen it.
You think I want to live in this apartment the rest of my
Yeah, well,
life?
sometimes I'm...
Oh, please, Susan, I'm the one that got the raise. Please try and remember that. I'm the one that goes out every day and supports
you can't
this
keep
family.
using that shit, Harry. You know, I've told you a million times that I would go out and get a job, but no, you forbid it. And then you go and use it
Look,
against
Susan,
me.
we'll buy the house.
With what? That was our savings, remember?
The stock's gonna go up. Seth
No,
promised.
get out of it. Just sell it all tomorrow morning.
Listen, Seth, I'm in a heap of trouble here. I need that money back. It was supposed to be a down payment for a house for my family, and now we're gonna lose the house.
Harry, listen, it's gonna rebound.
Seth, I need the money back.
I'm sorry, Harry, I can't do that.
Please, Seth, I need the money back.
I have to go.
And it is incredibly accurate. This is the pain and suffering that victims are going through countless fraud schemes. There's real consequences to schemes like this. And there are really people like Harry who have to put their dreams on hold. And they have to explain to their loved ones that they made a bad decision that ruined their life. I'm very sad to see it, but I also want to bring out that it's very accurate. And it's accurately describing the consequences of fraud and what happens to the victims.
Harry Renard just lost his life savings. And he wasn't a whale. He was just some poor schmuck, and I took him.
Final score for Boiler Room, this movie gets an A+. They show three things very, very well. First, they show some real-life sales techniques and how salespeople build relationships and use those relationships to close a sale. That could be with a legitimate business or a fraud scheme. Those steps, those techniques are exactly the same, and they show them very well. Number two, they show some of the red flags of a fraud scheme, and they show exactly how the fraudsters manipulate their victims and get their victims to go along with the scheme. Number three, they show the consequences and the fallout from a fraud scheme in a very realistic and emotionally touching way. It's hard for me to watch, but it is 100% accurate. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave any suggestions in the comments. I've done a few in the past. I want to do more in the future. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. That's what allows me to keep doing more of them. As a thank you in advance, here's a clip that reminds me of the FBI's busy season.
Seth Davis, you are under arrest for the violation of 26 SEC and NASD regulations.
What the hell is going on out here? Seth, I'm gonna get you out of this.
Just don't call my father.